All right, let's talk about 5 costly mistakes you could be making with your required minimum distribution. Now, you might be asking, what is a required minimum distribution, or a RMD? Well, a required minimum distribution is a required distribution from your IRA, your 401k, or your 403b at a certain age. All right, the first costly mistake you could be making with your required minimum distribution is actually delaying your required minimum distribution to the following year. The law allows you to take your required minimum distribution, your first required minimum distribution, by April 1st of the following year that you turn 73. So if you turn 73 this year, you are required by April 1st of next year to have taken your first required minimum distribution. The only problem with that is if you wait till next year to take your required minimum distribution, now you've got to take a second required minimum distribution for being 74. So if you take 2 in the same year, that's going to increase your taxable income. That's going to increase the distribution that's coming out of your IRA. And if the market's going down, you're actually taking out more than you actually need to. So instead of waiting until the following year for your first required minimum distribution, make sure you take it by 12/31 of the year you turn 73. The next mistake that you could be making with your required minimum distribution is forgetting to take a required minimum distribution out of your IRA, your 401k, your 403b, or your TSP. You got to make sure that you take your required minimum distribution because the IRS has a harsh penalty if you don't do it. Let's say that your required minimum distribution is $10,000 and you forget to take it. The IRS says we're going to penalize you 25% of what you did not take. That's $2,500. Put it on your calendar, put it in your phone, make sure you take your required minimum distribution so you don't pay a 25% penalty. All right, the third mistake that you could be making that could cost you thousands of dollars with your RMD, your required minimum distribution, is mixing plan types. And this is the most confusing. And so I want to go through this in more detail so you understand exactly where your required minimum distribution has to come from and how you can do that. So let me give you an example. Let's say we have a person, her name is Sherry. Sherry has an IRA, Sherry has a 401k, and Sherry has a 403b. Now, these are 3 different retirement accounts. Now, they're all pre-tax, so all of this money does need a required minimum distribution. Now, in Sherry's case, when she turns 73, she's required to take an RMD from each specific account. They all require their each individual required minimum distribution. So what would be the best option for Sherry? When Sherry gets closer to retirement, once she gets into that required minimum distribution age, if she's not working at these companies that have a 401k or 403b, the best option for her is to roll those into her IRA, or roll them into IRAs separated from this IRA if she wants them managed differently. So let's use the same person, but a different example. Let's say she rolls all 3 of these out into IRAs. So we have the original IRA, we have the second IRA that was the 401k, we'll call this IRA 2, and let's say we have IRA number 3, which came from her 403b. So now she's 73 years old. We have 3 separate IRAs. Sherry has 2 options. She can take a required minimum distribution out of each individual IRA account, or let's say her RMD is $10,000. So she has to take $10,000 for her required minimum distribution. If she wants, she could actually just take that from one account. So she could say, okay, for all 3 of my IRAs, my RMD is $10,000, and I'm just going to take it out of this IRA. All right, the fourth mistake that could cost you thousands with your required minimum distribution is combining required minimum distributions with your spouse. Each individual person, if they have individual IRAs, must take an RMD for themselves from their IRA 401k, or 403b. Let me give you an easy example. So we have Sherry, and Sherry is 73, and Sherry has an IRA and a 401k. Sherry is married to John, and John has an IRA and he has a 401k from his old job, and he's retired. Both are the same age, both are 73 years old. Now, Sherry's RMD is $10,000. John's RMD is $5,000, which means as a couple, they have to take $15,000 as a required minimum distribution. The mistake would be saying, okay, we've got to take $15,000. Let's just take it out of John's IRA. Let's take all $15,000. You can't do that. Or let's take all $15,000 out of Sherry's 401k. You can't do that. You must take the required minimum distribution for the specific individual. Fifth, retirement required minimum distribution mistake that could be costing you thousands of dollars. Withdrawing the wrong amount for your required minimum distribution. You need to know how much you have to withdraw for your required minimum distribution. And let me tell you something. That withdrawal is going to change on a yearly basis. It's going to increase. So the first factor that your custodian is going to use to calculate your RMD is your age, 73 years old, okay? The second factor is going to be the value of your IRA, your 401k, your 403b, your SEP IRA, the value of those on 12/31 of the previous year. So you just want to make sure that you understand how much you have to take out and know that it's going to change every year. All right? Hey, thank you so much for watching. God bless. Bye-bye.